Well, there's a few different things that the report touched upon. One is that chemical weapons, they confirm now further 3 attacks on top of the ones that they'd already confirmed before. Of course, the vast majority of those attacks are believed to have been committed by the Syrian regime. These 3 attacks are believed to have occurred in Idlib province and in Ghouta, eastern Ghouta, part of the Damascus province. Now, these are operations, especially in Ghouta, where the regime was trying to expand. These are believed to have been barrel bombs full of chlorine gas that were then dropped on civilians and led to casualties. These now confirmed by the United Nations. Of course, the regime, for their part, and their Russian backers, have denied and disputed that they've used chemical weapons. And in fact, with the potential for an Idlib operation by the regime on the cards, an Idlib offensive on the cards, they've actually already started saying that the opposition are trying to fake potential future chemical attacks. So they're always going to dispute that. The United Nations confirming that their regime have carried out at least some attacks. They also, the United Nations, criticised the forced displacement of people. They said 1 million people have been internally displaced in the first 6 months in 6 battles that have been carried out, or 6 offensives that have been carried out across Syria. Now, the United Nations criticised these evacuation agreements that actually led to a lot of these people being dispersed. So, for example, a lot of the time when the Syrian regime advances and is able to take somewhere, it gives the opposition a decision either to stay or to leave. Many of them have been leaving to Idlib. This is something the United Nations has criticised, and of course, with what's going on in Idlib, that could be a potential future humanitarian issue. And the third thing as well, just to note, is of course the Afrin operation that was carried out by Turkey, or led by Turkey, in addition to FSA forces that it backs. The United Nations said that Turkey may have not taken all feasible precautions before certain airstrikes, and that would be a violation of international humanitarian law. Some of those airstrikes were including one against a hospital, one against a market, and some against homes. Now, of course, Turkey actually, at the time of the alleged strike on the hospital, did dispute that at the time, but it was included in the UN's report on Wednesday.
Just going back to Idlib, Abubakr, clearly a lot of concern about what may happen to civilians there if there is a full-scale military offensive by the regime. How are diplomatic efforts going to avert that?
Well, the United Nations has been increasingly vocal with regards to Idlib. So on Tuesday, Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, appealed to Russia, Iran and Turkey to spare no effort to find solutions to protect civilians. And he said it was absolutely essential a full-scale battle is avoided. This is kind of a continuation of what the United Nations has been trying to do. On Tuesday, the UN's envoy to Syria, Staffan de Mistura, met representatives from Turkey, Russia and Iran, ostensibly to talk about a constitutional committee for a future constitution for Syria. But actually, Idlib was included as part of those discussions. But what we have to remember, of course, is that in the past, Geneva, the United Nations, was seen as a centre for Syria peace talks, a centre to find a solution to the conflict in Syria. Now, the UN has taken a back foot to the Astana process, which has been led by Russia, Iran and Turkey. And so, yes, the United Nations has been increasingly vocal, but their words do not carry the same weight they did earlier in the conflict.